Stan Gibilisco here with a proposal for all of our power companies in the United States and other countries, should they decide that they want to protect themselves as well. And I'm referring to the electromagnetic pulse and its primary threat to our society and the way that we live our lives. I've read a number of objective scientific papers, some from England, on the subject of the electromagnetic pulse and the main threat that it poses to our society. And basically what happens, the greatest threat as I see it, is that a coronal mass ejection, which is a great cloud of charged particles that the sun throws at the earth, should happen to hit the earth as it did during the Carrington event of 1859, producing intense activity in the Earth's magnetic field. The charged particles hit the Earth's magnetic field, are accelerated towards the poles, produce spectacular aurora displays, even more spectacular than those recently. And along with that, the fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field cause gigantic electromagnetic wave pulses to encounter the surface and cause high currents in long wires, such as power lines, such as those high tension power lines that span the United States. They are capable of picking up enough current, so I've heard, to damage transformers at power substations, possibly even destroy them. And seeing as we don't have enough spares on hand to simply replace them all, and they are quite expensive, there's another solution that I found in one of these technical papers. We get plenty of warning, hours of warning in some cases, but at least an hour or two of warning for one of these coronal mass ejection events. If the power companies are aware that an electromagnetic pulse is likely to occur, all they have to do is take their transformers offline until the geomagnetic storm, if it occurs, passes. This will cause a power blackout for about 2, maybe 3 hours for customers of that electric company. And if all the electric companies do it, it means that the United States will essentially undergo a power failure for about 2 or 3 hours while these transformers are offline. If you disconnect those long wires from those transformers, the transformers won't get the surge currents that could cause such massive currents to flow in their primary and secondary windings so as to melt the wires, according to one analysis. So the solution is simple. It's not something that lawmakers in Washington have to get together and decide. That would be like having a professional football player try and be a good chef in a fine restaurant in New York. I suppose there are some, though, that are, but it would be a completely inappropriate use of the legislature. No, this is not a job for the Demopublicans or the Republicrats or any politicians. This is a job for private companies to meet the needs of their customers, and those switches that take those transformers offline are a heck of a lot cheaper and a heck of a lot easier to install than whole new transformers would be. And I bet that a 3-hour power blackout would be a whole lot easier to deal with than would a 2 or 3 month or possibly 2 or 3 year power blackout. Even so, most of these scientific papers seem to take a pretty, well, you might say, Vulcan view of the situation. They do not allow their political or other aspirations to creep in. They are not fearmongers. They are just trying to figure out the facts and see if maybe some relatively easy solutions exist. And apparently, with respect to the power grid, there is a pretty easy solution. But everybody has to get on board, and everybody has to make the effort to be aware of the threat, be prepared so that if a threat occurs, they receive the needed information so that they can just switch their transformers offline. Imagine if the director of the National Hurricane Center had been president of the United States just before Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. I'll bet we'd have had a lot less casualties because he would have called up the National Guard to have people evacuated from there. Similarly, it's pretty easy to prepare for the result or for the cause of the massive power failure that could occur if we just sit around and do nothing. So how about it, power companies? Charge me an extra $1 a month. I'm willing to pay that much to have a whole lot more peace of mind. I think I've finally pretty much gotten the point across. Listen to the scientists. Read these papers. Don't listen to the fearmongers and the politicians. Even though some politicians are pretty well informed, they seem more focused on making us scared than on actually finding any real and practical and affordable solution to the problem, which is available, by the way, right now. Stan Gibilisco signing off. His little technical opinion for the day. Until next time, so long.